The following podcast has been rated PGN. Parental guidance is neglected.
Boy, it's been a long time since we've had a little father-son chat.
I am your father.
Father, if you can hear me, I failed.
Don't let your mother smell that beer on your breath. She'll take it out on me.
I'm here with my dad.
I know what you're gonna say, son. And you're right. You're right.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
I've abandoned my boy!
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Parental Guidance Neglected, where my dad shoves food in his mouth and we all watch right when the podcast starts.
I'm starving. The first thing you saw was me shove some food in. And
yeah.
You know what? I may be doing that periodically during the podcast. If I got nothing to say to you, if I have we have some downtime, I might just pop something else in there. Also,
go ahead.
Also, I'm not sick. Jackson knows this because he grew up in a house with me after we adopted him, and he will know that I will get a cold for 2 days and then I will cough for 14 months. So, if for some reason I have to step away to get a lozenge or some water or something, Jackson will just fill in. So
I'll fill in, and by fill in I mean we'll all make fun of you for being a little bit of a baby who can't just sit down and talk for an hour without
coughing like a whatever. In fact, I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready to cough right there. So I'll try to remember to turn my head so I don't turn everyone off. Hey everybody, welcome back. PGN Podcast, 2 generations talking film. We've been off a few weeks. I have been traveling around the world. I've been to New York City a couple times. I just got back from D.C. I've been looking at colleges with Jackson's sister. Sorry to say, she will not be going to film school. She is not following in the steps of her big brother. She's going to study something else. You ever feel like a burp coming on? I shouldn't have had that piece of chicken. I feel like a...
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like you ate that one food and it set off a chain reaction that we can't interrupt now. Yeah, we're too far in.
And Jackson, of course, has been very busy at film school and working on projects, so our apologies. But I told him this week we have to get on because, the big Academy Awards ceremony is this coming Sunday. And at the end of the show, we will be giving our Oscar predictions of who we think should win if we were Academy voters. And newsflash, we are not. And hopefully my son understands how this works this year. We will then give our predictions of who we think will win, not who we want. They're two.
It's not that I don't know what I'm doing. I just am bad at it. I'm just a little bad at it.
There's 2 very separate categories.
I know.
My son got his...
I'm thinking I'm going to do a little bit better this. I will say there were some really tricky... I mean, we'll get into it later, but there were some really tricky categories this year for me. I think a little harder than last year as far as trying to pick who's winning. It's going to be a close race for some of these.
I think the big ones are pretty locked in stone, but there's definitely some lesser ones. But we'll get to that later in the show. Jackson and I we have been trying to see movies for you guys. We got some new theatrical releases. We got some new streaming movies. And of course, Jackson is always in his pretentious art house corner with some things as well. But before we get into any of that, Jackson, you have a big shoot coming up this weekend. You're working on a Friends Independent. I know you've been stressing a little bit, and we won't get into all the reasons because there's been some crew changes and some last minute this.
Yeah, last minute.
But I actually have not spoken with you today about this. I spoke to you yesterday, and I got the sense that things were looking a little more prepared, a little more ready. How are things looking today?
They're looking good. We're 2 days out now. We start shooting on Friday, so we're getting close, but everything's kind of coming into line. We've got cover where we need cover, location set.
Hold on. Cover where we need cover. Now, some of our listeners may not be these fancy film aficionados that you. What does that mean? We've got cover to cover.
I just mean like people to cover like roles.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Well, one of the things you were worried about is that a key position person had fallen out. Have you found a replacement for that person?
Yeah, we got a replacement.
Fantastic. See, I didn't even know that. That's breaking news.
We got a replacement this morning. I caught the news that we got the replacement. So,
right. Now, the other question I have for you about this weekend shoot. Well, I have two actually. The first one is this weekend is the Academy Awards. I have a feeling you are not going to be watching the ceremony live this year. Am I correct, or are you guys going to be done in time for that?
That would be correct. I mean, I've made it a point since I came to school here to kind of carry on our family tradition of hosting the Oscar party every year.
Uh-huh.
So every year I have all my friends over and I get all the ballots together and we all do a big Oscar pool.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to miss it this year. I'm really upset. Do you know what time it's airing?
I would guess 5:00. That's 5 o'clock.
I might catch a little bit of it then, but because we don't start shooting until 6:30. But
now you can always tape it,
yeah,
and then tell all of your party guests not to turn on their phones but you know that's not going to happen.
Right? Everyone, no, that's not going to happen.
Everyone's going to know.
People are going to watch the Oscars, and God knows I'm going to be on set. Refreshing my Twitter feed to see who's winning.
Do you think it's something that you will watch later, or just kind of like hear the clips and go, I'll just watch some of the highlights?
Just hear the clips, probably. I mean, I don't know. I'm not the kind of guy who watches the Oscars for the performances.
Yeah.
That's never been a really interesting part to me, and I'm sure that I'll probably end up watching the monologue on a clip or something. Also, all right, this is weird side tangent.
Yeah.
Can we get someone else to host the Oscars?
You're not a Jimmy Kimmel fan.
I think he's fine, but what happened to the new host every year? Why is this suddenly his gig? I just feel like I don't know. It seems weird. He's not really a part of the industry, as far as he's a TV guy, and this is not a TV show. Well, and so it's just what's.
For a long time, a TV guy did do it. That was Johnny Carson. Johnny used to do it.
Yeah.
And then they started to get to. Then it was actors for a while. It was. Steve Martin and Alec Baldwin did it one year, and then you had there was the debacle that of course was James Franco and Anne Hathaway, and somehow at some point I don't know where it started, where it had to be. I mean, Bob Hope was one of the original hosts of the Oscars as well. I don't know. I think they keep going back to Jimmy because every time that they've tried to get away from Jimmy, it fails. So they go back to kind of the safety net.
He just feels like a safe choice, and I personally don't find him very funny. Right. I remember I watched John Mulaney hosted. I think it was the SAG Awards or one of the smaller ones. And I was laughing my ass off, and I was like, "Damn, what happened to getting funny people to those award shows?" That's really unfortunate.
The problem is the problem is the Academy is still very kind of highfalutin and more formal.
Yeah.
If you watch the Independent Spirit Awards or you watch the Critics' Choice, they always usually bring in a comic who is not as much pressure. I don't know what's going to happen with comics after the Joe Coy debacle of the Golden Globes.
Oh boy.
So.
Fumble of the century from that guy.
Even people who don't like Gervais are like, please bring back Ricky Gervais. And I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah,
I think he was the best host of that show. He
was hilarious. I loved watching him host.
Didn't give a crap what anyone thought. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not going to be able to watch them live this weekend. That's sad. But here's the thing. By the end of this episode, I will have your ballot filled out. So what I promise I will do is I will keep you updated on the set as you continue to get more and more guesses incorrect.
Yeah, send me updates.
Yeah, I'll send you updates
on how many I'm getting
wrong.
You
just missed another one. Just missed another one. And of course, if there's any...
huge moments or upsets,
acts of violence on stage or anything, would let you know. Last question before we get into our first movies. What's the pitch on this movie this weekend? Are you guys shooting a comedy, or is this a noir thriller? Is it a dramedy?
It's an experimental drama. I'll say
experimental. So it may.
I don't want to say too much. I'm not very good at explaining it because it is very abstract, and I didn't write it. So I'm not the best at explaining the premise, but it's. We got a lot of cool stuff to shoot, so that's the good news.
Is there one particular shot that you're the most nervous about? You're like, we gotta get this one shot.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be. Is it a perspective thing? Like it's from another perspective, or the camera's got to move, or what?
It's some lighting gags that we got to get down. That I'm worried that the software that we're using is going to be bad, but we'll see. We'll see. It'll be good. I'm not worried about it.
This is how much I don't know about what you're talking about. I didn't even know something like software came into play. I'm like, okay.
It was just like Bluetooth connection to the lights, so I can control them from my phone.
Yeah. I saw a few movies this weekend and over the last week in theaters. I've seen a lot of streaming stuff. I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple that have already left the box office, and I don't think a lot of people saw them. So maybe, a lot of times when we can't give you a review when it's still in the theater, we might be able to warn you or lead you to something as it's on video on demand or when it hits the HBOs and the Showtimes out there. So we're going to talk about some of those as well. The big new movie this week I have not been able to see, and I'm very jealous because I did want to talk to you about it, and we probably will bring it back next week because it's on my list this week, is the much anticipated... Is it much anticipated, though? I don't know. I feel like a movie...
It's getting crazy critical reception.
Yeah, it's getting good reviews. The first one did as well, and Jackson... will be with us right now with this review. Before you get into it, Jackson, did you rewatch the first Dune? And he's nodding yes. And
I did, yeah.
The question we'll all be asking, was it better, worse, or the same as the first Dune? Jackson, you went and saw Dune 2 at a late screening last night.
I did.
Talk to us about this much anticipated sci-fi sequel.
So I did rewatch Dune 1 because to be honest, I had forgotten anything that happened in the first one. I have the book sitting right next to me.
No, I did too.
I have the book sitting right next to me, and I have not had the time to read it. I've been behind on my reading, but I kind of forgot the whole thing. So I sat down to rewatch it.
Okay.
And I felt about the same as I did the first time I saw it, which is that it was good and I enjoyed it a lot, but and this isn't the fault of Denis, I don't think, but it's just a lot of exposition to get through.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of the task of the first one is to build up the world, so that way, for all the rest of them, we just know what's going on and just can accept, like, the rules of what's going on.
Right. I think I'm on this... I'm not to interrupt, but I think I'm in the same boat with you as the first one. I remember liking it. I remember going, there's a lot of story here and a lot of characters, and then I remembered, where's Zendaya? And she shows up in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But so go on. Okay, so you revisited it and thought it was a good film, not a great movie. Is that correct for the first one?
Yeah, exactly. But I sat down very excited to watch it in IMAX. All my friends had already seen it, and they were like, "Dude, this is pretty damn good." And I was like, "All right, I'll take your word for it."
Okay.
It's a really goddamn good movie. Yeah, it's a really good movie. It's pretty great. I think that. There's so many moments in here that just felt like I was watching, like, decades from now, film students are going to have to analyze this scene because it's just genius the way that they shot it. Like, there's so many great moments in this movie. For one, the performances in this I thought were incredible. Timothée Chalamet has an insane monologue towards the end of the movie that, like, in my opinion, is one of the best moments of his career so far.
Really?
It's surprisingly funny. It has, like, funny moments. Javier Bardem has a lot of comedic moments in this that, like, really do a good job of breaking up the tension.
I don't remember there being anything that funny about the first one.
There aren't, but there's some comedy here in this one. Austin Butler, as much as, I have been the biggest fan of his work in the past, does a really phenomenal job as, like, a new villain. Stellan Skarsgård, always great. I mean, there's the list goes on. Zendaya was fantastic. The cast in this really take the cake. Greg Fraser, the cinematographer, did a great job of shooting this. It looks absolutely gorgeous. But most importantly, I was just gripped the whole time. The story is great. I mean, for someone who hasn't read the books, a lot of things that I would have never seen coming, going on in the sequel. And I'm definitely going to be curious to hear what you think about this. With that being said,
go ahead. I smell a butt.
One of the most annoying film screenings I've been in my life. Because I saw it in IMAX, literally directly in the seat next to me are three guys high off their ass, giggling at everything. Right. At everything. Oh my God. Oh my god, it was the most annoying thing. It was just so frustrating where I'm like, dude, this is like a serious emotional moment and you're giggling about like what? Like it didn't make any sense and it was really distracting. But with that being said, the movie was still phenomenal.
Right. Dude, it's so hard for me to sometimes go to what I know is going to be a packed screening of an art house a theater because I'm like, okay, I don't mind being in a full theater with people. Sometimes that adds to the excitement of it. But you're also rolling the dice with like, okay, this theater holds 100 people. At least 4 of them are going to be dicks. You know what I mean? And it's like, and all it takes is one guy who won't shut up with his nachos or who talks back to the screen to ruin it all. Okay, so good. Is this a action movie? Is this?
Yes.
There's a lot of action in this because I felt the first
a ton of action, a lot of really really well done fight sequences. And I mean, obviously we know like a lot of Dune is CG, but it does not.
Right.
With that being said, just some really good hand-to-hand combat moments, specifically from Chalamet and Austin Butler, and a bunch of different moments scattered throughout the film.
Right.
And it keeps it very grounded, where it's like like we all know that this isn't real. Right. But one thing I will say about it is that like I feel like this is the first time in a long time that I've got kind of like that childlike wonder watching a sci-fi movie that I had when I was watching Star Wars when I was little, where it's like, I kind of want to ride a sandworm. I kind of want to.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
I kind of want to. It would be kind of cool if I had all these cool swords and I could just do all this cool stuff.
I want to be a Jedi.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is it worth seeing in IMAX? I don't think this was shot in IMAX though, right? It's been
it was shot in digital IMAX, I think. So it wasn't like actual like IMAX, but I think it was shot to be screened. So I remember when Oppenheimer came out, and I was like, I have to see it on like the actual 70 millimeter.
Right.
You don't have to do that, but I would definitely recommend seeing this in an IMAX theater at a minimum, just for the sound.
Okay.
Because they really crank the sound with the IMAX in the IMAX theaters, and I think that it's worth feeling the music and the sound around you.
Okay. Should I see this movie? Okay, Mr. Burns, I ask you this. Should I, are you ready?
Yeah.
Should I see Dune immediately on whatever screen I can? B, should I see Dune as soon as I can on an IMAX screen only? Or C, should I wait until March 25th and see it at the Directors Guild with Denis Villeneuve doing a Q&A afterwards? Because I got to be honest with you, unless I love it, I'm probably not going to see it twice.
I would see it in IMAX, to be honest. Because I love the DGA.
Yes.
They don't have the best theater on the planet, in their facilities.
They do not.
I would in my opinion, I would see it in IMAX and then judge if you think it's worth seeing with Denis, because I just think that you're going to want to see it on the bigger screen with the better
IMAX.
sound.
Okay. So I think the closest IMAX to me is the one in the Valley. So it's only about 20-25 minutes away. So all right.
Yeah.
And what's the running time on this guy? Is this a 3.5 hour? Where's the intermission?
2.5.
2.5? Okay, that's fine.
2.5, I think.
That's your standard. I can live with that.
Yeah.
All right.
Not too bad.
To be honest with you, didn't really hear a lot of negative anything about this movie from you, so I'm very anxious.
Yeah.
What is your number? What is your number, and is this the best film of the year so far in theaters?
It's going to be a 9.
Oh,
and
wow.
I would say that this is the best film of the year so far. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, not that I've been, going crazy seeing movies so far that have come out this year, but so far I would consider this to be the movie of the year. Yeah.
This was better than ISS, is what you're telling me.
This was better than ISS. Yeah. Shocker.
Yeah.
Shocker there for all, but yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. That's a 9 for Jackson on Dune Part 2. Hopefully we'll be back next week, and I'll let you know my thoughts on that because it's next on my list. Hey, speaking of space and ISS, the other big movie that did technically open this weekend was the new Netflix movie called Spaceman with Adam Sandler and Carey Mulligan and the voice, the very effective voice, I might say, of Paul Dano. As, wait for it, I don't care if it's a spoiler or not. I think if you've looked into anything in the movie, he is the voice of a giant alien spider that Adam Sandler, who plays a Czech, yes, I said it, a Czech astronaut who apparently has an American accent and is married to a Czech woman who has a British accent in Carey Mulligan. So I had a little bit of problem with the whole thing right weird. There. Plays a astronaut who is going off for a 1-year-long mission towards Jupiter to investigate a mysterious purple cloud called the Chopra, I think, that has suddenly appeared. Why? I don't know, but everyone wants to know what this purple cloud is and if it's dangerous. And the Czechs are racing there to get there before the South Koreans. The problem is that Adam Sandler has left behind a pregnant woman who, as we learn through flashbacks, has already miscarried once and feels quite abandoned and is unsure about their relationship or where she stands in it. For anyone who has seen the previews of Spaceman and is expecting, well, one, don't expect this to be a comedy from Adam Sandler. He continues in the tradition of like uncut gems and trying to stretch as an artist, and I'm all about that. And there really is no action here. I think I read one review where it's like, this very much feels like an hour and 45 minutes of therapy, and I kind of agree. This is a very ethereal film. It reminded me a lot of Ad Astra, which I hated with Brad Pitt several years ago, and maybe a little bit of Interstellar. I don't know why every major actor at some point has to do I'm a man in space alone. Like, if it's not The Martian, it's Brad Pitt. It's like, why is every actor like, where's my script where I'm in a spaceship floating around and I'm finding it out and getting into my head? So listen, I'm not going to tell you, this is a movie that's very open for interpretation, but don't get too excited about anything happening. It's a lot of flashback, a lot of discussion, and I have to be honest with you, incredibly tedious. I think Adam Sandler is very miscast here. I think A for effort. It drove me crazy that Paul Dano, the space alien, continuously calls him by the name Skinny Astronaut or Skinny American, or I can't remember. Maybe he was supposed to be American but living in Czech. But he constantly refers to him as Skinny, and I just felt like going to Adam Sandler, maybe you should have, I don't know, gotten skinny for the role. I mean, that's what every other character, any other actor would have lost 190 pounds and been emaciated. This is not a great film. Even the people who are kind of recommending it are doing it with reservations. It's on Netflix. You're not going to go pay to see it in the theater. I struggled to get through this one. I even turned it off halfway through and then said, no, I'm going to finish it. I'm not going to be that guy. Wow. Yeah. Spaceman for me gets a D+.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this. At any point in the movie, does Adam Sandler go, shut up? Does he do that? Does he do that at all?
No. You know what's weird is that if there's any levity in this film, and it's very minimal, it's from Paul Dano and the Spider's love for Nutella. And that's all I'm going to say on that.
I have loved every movie that Adam Sandler has been in that's a drama. I love Uncut Gems unconditionally. I love Punch Drunk Love unconditionally. I saw the trailer for this and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. You know what else, Jackson?
I'd be definitely not helping.
I would be curious for you just to even watch it and kind of just fast forward through it, because I don't even think it was shot that well. I didn't think it was.
Okay.
It felt like lazy. There's a lot of camera, with the anti-gravity and this angle, and they turn it upside down, and I just didn't think they really did much creatively with the way it was shot or the way it sounded.
Yeah.
So I'm a.
All right. Well, maybe it'll. Oh my God!
What's wrong?
I can't believe you just said that. Nah, I just can't believe you just said that was shot poorly. I just looked if you shot this. That's really.
Oh well, was it shot by somebody really, really good?
Someone that I love. I mean, it's the guy who did all of Yoakum Trier's earlier work. So the guy who directed The Worst Person in the World. It's all of his earlier stuff was shot by this guy. But who knows? I mean, listen, I'll give it a watch. We'll see what's up.
I'd be curious for you to at the very least pick out some scenes, or if you're like, this story's not compelling me, just to kind of fast forward through it and go, was that shot? Because again, I'm a layman, and I don't mean it was shot poorly. I'm not like, wow, this was so bad. I'm saying I don't think there was anything very new that I haven't seen.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
In ISS or Ad Astra, it just seemed very. Yeah. I didn't feel like there was anything kind of new done with that, and maybe that's the whole point.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I mean, it's a man and a spider in a ship for a tremendous amount of time. That's a pass for me.
Well, all right. Before we get to our next review, I want to get this one out of the way real quick. This is a movie that people also will not be able to see in theaters because it's only playing in one strip club. I had a chance to go to a special screening of the newest film from Harmony Korine. It was Aggro Drift.
Wait a minute. Did you say it was playing in a strip club?
I did. I did not see it in a strip club, but
where did you see it?
If you want to see it right now, you have to spend $100 to see it in one strip club in Los Angeles.
What? Now where did you see it if you didn't drop
I saw it at a special screening at the American Cinematheque where they invited Korine to come and do an introduction for the film and play it afterwards.
I did not know this. I'm fascinated to hear about. Okay, what's the name of it again?
Aggro Drift.
Okay, so for a little backstory before we get into it, for anyone who doesn't know, Harmony Korine was the hot new thing with his feature debut movie called Kids. This was back in the 80s.
Which he wrote. He did not direct, but he wrote it. He was a hot new writer with Kids, and then directed a film later in the 90s called Gummo that he also directed.
Gummo, Julian Donkey, something.
Julian Donkey Boy.
So he's kind of continued to do what I would call more esoteric and very existential and strange films. He became very popular in the 90s as a guest on David Letterman because he's a very quirky guy, and like David would always have him on because Harmony was going to say outrageous and crazy stuff. And I think he was involved with Chloe Sevigny for a little while as well. They were a couple because she was in some of his earlier films, but you really very rarely hear from him anymore. So is this something he's been working on for a while? What's the backstory on this?
So I mean, he's been doing like bigger budget movies in the past. He had a film called Spring Breakers with James Franco.
Oh, that's
right. A bigger hit.
And I like that one.
He did a smaller one with Matthew McConaughey a few years back called Beach Bum that I have not seen either of those films. The only movie of his that I've seen is Gummo. I love Gummo. I think Gummo's fantastic, and a great film. So I went into this with very high expectations. The entire film is shot in infrared, so it's like rainbow, like Predator vision almost. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like it's shot with an infrared. Yeah, it's shot with an infrared camera.
The whole movie.
The whole movie. It has Travis Scott in it. The rapper. And so I was like, all right, that's interesting casting choice. But no one else that I recognized was in it.
Well, you couldn't recognize him because it was shot in infrared.
I mean, you can make out the faces, but it's just not like the skin tones are red and all that. So
okay. What's the story about? Or is there? If many times, I know Harmony Korine. It's like, what's the story? I have no idea.
But not in that way though.
Okay.
This is genuinely. Okay, let me start over. We get to the. We get to the theater.
Mm-hmm.
We sit in our seats. The worker at the Cinematheque comes on and introduces the film, and there's like, oh, this is we're very excited for Harmony Korine to be here.
Right.
He comes out wearing a neon ski mask. Maybe one of the highest people I've seen in my life. And I don't mean like, oh, he smoked a lot of weed behind stage.
Yeah.
I mean like on something that you don't.
Yeah.
You can't buy legally from a dispensary around the corner.
Yeah.
And he gets the mic and he's stumbling and he goes, in the car, we were talking about microdosing, but I think that we should all be talking about macrodosing. And then he goes, anyways, this isn't even really a movie. It was meant to be watched with the sound off in a bar, like a shitty bar. I wanted to sculpt with color, so that's what this is. I don't know. Enjoy it. And then he starts singing the song Mask Off by the rapper Future and leaves the stage.
Okay.
So
so your typical Q&A.
I proceeded to be bombarded with an hour and a half of maybe the worst movie I've seen in my life. Dad, it was an hour and a half of a bunch of has-been 40-year-olds in airsoft gear, gearing up for a big fight, and then not fighting, while a monologue played in the background of the sky being like, I love my wife, and I love my kids, and I'm going to kill the man who hired me as a hitman. But, like, there's no care. Dad, the main antagonist is this big, like, fat guy with a sword who humps the air, who's surrounded by a bunch of little people in capes. This movie is littered with AI VFX that just, like, will randomly cover the screen out of nowhere. The camera, like, is infrared, so it makes everything look very futuristic, but the PD doesn't match. The guy's wife is, like, a sex worker that Corinne hired to just, like, twerk on screen. So it's just this woman wearing almost nothing with, like, her 2 kids and her husband being like, oh, I want you to have sex with me so bad right now. Please, I want you to have sex with me so bad right now.
It's so disturbing.
It was literally like... It was like a horny middle schooler got a hold of a camera and was like, everything that I think is cool, I'm gonna put in a movie.
Right.
It was it was genuinely like 90 minutes of what a 50-year-old washed up filmmaker would think that a middle schooler would want to see.
Were people? What was the reaction? Were people walking out?
I saw it with my friend, and we both left, and we were like, that was genuinely one of the worst things. But Corinne has garnered a fan base that will overanalyze anything that he does to a deficit, where we're going out and they're like, well, I really think that was like a comment on the misogynistic mind of men. And I'm like, I want to sock you in the face. Yeah. I think you're one of the stupidest. Someone came out, and because me and BB were kind of, my buddy who's also named Jackson, we're going around and we're like, what did you guys think of this? And everyone's like, oh, I really liked it. Oh, I really like this. At one point, some guy was like, well, I really thought that they used AI in a cool way. And my buddy goes, you thought it was cool? And he's like, yeah, it looked really cool. And he goes, yeah, but like morally? And he's like, what do you mean? So someone walked into the theater and we were asking them about it, and they said, I don't care what I'm looking at as long as it looks cool. And I think that is the best way to sum up this movie. Do not go to see this movie. If spending more than $2 to see this at a porno theater would be spending too much money.
What is
let
the
alone
name?
$100 at a strip club. Aggro Drift.
Aggro Drift. All right, you've got me fascinated.
I generally almost didn't even review this because I didn't want to give it the respect, because because he chose to purposefully come out and give his film and his audience no respect in his introduction.
Right.
This movie gets a 1.
So the only release
this
movie's had is at a film festival that you saw it at, and Harmony's playing it in a strip club somewhere in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Okay.
And by the way, Travis Scott barely in it. Marketed as the main character, was in it for maybe 5 minutes as a side character that never comes back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how was Travis Scott? Was he? Yeah. Okay. So there you have it. Here. Just within the first 30 minutes of this podcast, Jackson has reviewed what could be the best movie he will see in 2024 and possibly the worst movie he will see in 2024. Will we look back on this episode and go, wow, there was so much better than Dune? Or is there any way to be worse than Aggro Deficit? Is that what you call it?
Well, Aggro Drift technically came out last year because it premiered at Con, so that would have made the top.
That would have made the top of your list. See, so addendum and a side note to that.
I'm not going to let that movie taint this year. I'm going to leave that in 2023, so it's not. Yeah.
Jackson and I both saw one of the Academy Award nominated films, and we're going to get to that right before we talk to our Oscars. But first, we got a little cleanup on some other stuff we've seen. So we're in that pretentious corner. Jackson, what else did you what else did you catch up on since we last spoke?
Let me pull my list real quick.
Did your girlfriend drag you to anything? Did you make it out to the theaters? And what are your teachers forcing you to watch? good or bad?
We've got a good mix here. I'll start with the one that my girlfriend dragged me to. This one was also kind of my fault though. So sometimes whenever me and Brooke are bored, she likes to play this game. Well, she'll quiz me on like, oh, who DP'd this movie, just to like build some knowledge of like, who's of cinematographers and stuff. It's a fun game and it's lighthearted.
Yeah. But
she found out that one of my favorite directors of photography, cinematographers of all time, Dick Pope, the man who shot films such as Naked,
yes,
Secrets and Lies,
yes,
Happy Go Lucky,
okay,
pretty much all of Mike Leigh movies. He's shot a bunch of other movies too, like Legend, The Outfit, things like that. But she found out that he shot a like a tween coming of age movie that she had seen when she was younger, coming from England, called Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging.
Oh, Angus Thongs and Perfect Snoggins. One of my
Dad. This is actually the very early debut of Aaron Taylor Johnson, who we now know from films like Bullet Train, Tenet.
Yeah. I like him.
He's been kind of the hot new guy. I like him a lot as well.
Your girlfriend, I love her more and more every day. Every episode we do, when I find out what she's taking you to, I'm like, I like this girl even more.
This was just hard because I'm watching it, and it's just the main character. Pretty much everyone in this is just not a good character in this movie. Like they're hard to root for. It's like annoying teenage girls fighting over, I don't know, like a Mean Girls kind of ripoff, and I'm going,
right.
Man, the guy who shot Naked was behind the camera watching this.
You know, Jackson, I've had
and listen, no, I get it. A job
is a job.
And you know what? All respect to him. Yeah. I just know that, for me,
right.
I want people to ask this guy to work more. I want people to be going like, Dick, come on,
dude.
Hop my project.
Sometimes you're getting together with people and you have a vision and you're making a project, and sometimes you've got a mortgage payment due. And the price is right. So everyone's got that resume. We don't have to belabor it. All I want to know is, did your girlfriend love it? And
she thought it was way worse than she remembered. Because
really?
It was a movie that she had seen. Yeah, she didn't love it. I think she gave it like a 5.
That's the worst, when you make someone watch something that you loved 20 years ago.
I know, and it's like,
and then you're like, oh, this didn't really hold up the way I thought it did. What are you giving it? Angus Schnangish and the...
Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging gets a 2 out of 10.
2 out of 10. Oh my god.
Listen, it's been long overdue. Obviously, I've been raving about Zone of Interest since I first saw it, and so I thought it was finally time to go into the back catalogs of director Jonathan Glazer. This is also the film that I'm going to be choosing to write my final paper on for my film reviewing class this year.
Okay.
And it's Under the Skin. Coming from Jonathan Glazer. Yeah, this is a movie unlike any other. I'll say. Have you seen Under the Skin?
I don't think so. Who's in that? Anyone I would know?
Scarlett Johansson.
I heard of it, but
Scarlett Johansson.
Never saw it.
Who plays an alien who basically goes around and preys on men to essentially steal their skin so that other aliens can disguise themselves and slowly take over the world, which sounds like it would be very like science fiction-y.
Right.
But this movie is very unique in the way that it tells its story.
What year was this?
This
came out?
This came out in 2013.
Okay, so about 10 years ago. That's what we say, about a decade.
Yeah, some stunning visual work here. The way that the film chooses to portray like the kills is very interesting, because it's not just about like this horrible alien who's kind of going around killing men. It's also about this alien who is learning to live life as a woman and be a person and learn about humanity. So it's very much a movie that tries to tackle like what humanity is about from an outsider's perspective.
Now, how is Scarlett Johansson in it? She's kind of hit or miss with
one
me.
of her best performances.
Okay,
I would say.
Okay,
Because she's also very hit or miss for me. I loved her in Asteroid City. I've loved her in other things.
Marriage Story.
Right,
she's great in Marriage Story.
Marriage Story. She's fantastic in Marriage Story. But I think that this might be her best performance.
Okay.
Just something that it very truly risky for her to take this project.
Okay.
And I respect that a lot.
Last question on this one before I get your score. Zone of Interest, Academy Award nominated film this year. This is something John Glazer did 10 years ago. Can you see the styles, the similarities?
I kind of can.
A little bit?
Yeah, I kind of can. Zone of Interest feels like a way more heightened version of like the style of this, but there's definitely a uniqueness here, specifically with the sound and the way the camera moves, and even the score. It's the same guy who did the score for Zone of Interest did the score for this one. It's brilliant. Michael Levi is one of the best we've got. So
what does Under the Skin get?
Under the Skin gets an 8 from me.
Okay.
8 leaning on a 9 on a rewatch. We'll have to see it because I'll probably have to rewatch this one again.
Well, especially you're doing a paper on it.
I'm going to take a quick break to give a quick rant. I'm taking a Hong Kong cinema class this semester, and my teacher continues to show us half of movies. So I'm just going to run through them real quick.
You're going to rate the half of the films that you had to see?
I'm not going to rate them, but I'm just going to say we've seen The One-Armed Swordsman, we've seen Enter the Dragon, we saw half of it.
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time in China. I'm sure I'm missing some. What was the one that I just said? We watched a John Woo movie that was great.
A Better Tomorrow.
Half of it. A Better Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Movies that I wish I could rate, but I can't because
has anyone approached this professor that you're taking a class from and said, "Why are we only watching half of the film?" And what is what is their response? What is the theory behind only watching part of a story like that?
She says that we need time in class to discuss it, and that she is putting the links to the films on our website so we can watch them at home if we wanted. But the links that she has they're like incredibly low quality. Sometimes the subtitles aren't even matched up, and it's just.
I just think it's hard to discuss a film fully if you haven't seen it flushed out or ended.
You're telling me.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me. Of the list of the films that you said, I would finish Enter the Dragon, and I would definitely finish A Better Tomorrow. I have not seen the other ones, but A
Better Tomorrow was my favorite one by far.
Yeah,
I like that one a lot. John Woo is just so fun to watch, and so is Chow Yun-fat.
Would the professor? Should I call the professor?
Sorry,
would they appreciate that if a parent called?
Probably
not.
I don't think that would play.
At a college level, that
doesn't.
That won't come up at the PTA meeting of any kind.
Generally frowned upon, I'd say.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, we've got a lot of movies to go through. I'm going to try to get through a little bit faster.
Okay.
Ghost in the Shell. This is another movie that I watched for my movie reviewing class.
That's anime, correct?
This is an anime film. Interesting because the theme for the class is AI, and so that's kind of why I watched Under the Skin, and it's now why I watched Ghost in the Shell, which, funny enough, was remade live action with Scarlett Johansson.
Right.
I didn't watch the live action remake, but I did watch the anime film. I wanted to like this really bad, but unfortunately, it's a movie that deals with... I wrote a whole paper on this, so I can talk about it for hours, but I'll just... TLDR, it's a movie that deals with some very heavy philosophical concepts that spends not enough time talking about them. Most of the movie is exposition. It's only 83 minutes. It's a lot of exposition, and it spends way too much time talking about the way the government interacts with each other. Right. It's a lot of bureaucracy. Like not enough time on characters. There are like monologues that go on for very long that just feel overwritten in a lot of ways. Where like someone will say a line and you have to pause it and go, wait, what did that mean? Wait, the memory is a person. Like just things like that.
Now, isn't Ghost in the Shell usually an anime? And by the way, I'd like a little credit for not using the C word.
Well, I mean, it's the bare minimum, so I don't know how much credit I want to give you. But
isn't Ghost in the Shell usually like when people go, "Oh, list the top 5 anime movies of all time"? Isn't that usually right there in the conversation? But it
usually is.
Didn't resonate with you, huh?
I can't say that it did. I've seen better anime films, like even ones that deal with similar concepts, and so I had to give Ghost in the Shell a 5. I felt right down the middle on it because when it's interesting, it's really interesting.
Right.
But it seems to get in its own way. I made it out to theaters to go see Badlands. Funny enough, the Terrence Malick film starring Martin Sheen and Was it Sissy Spacek?
Yes,
Sissy Spacek.
This is one of his. Of his earlier films. People would know Terrence Malick Moore from Tree of Life or The Thin Red Line. He usually only makes a movie like once every 6-7 years. It seems he's not.
Very rare filmmaker. But I was very excited to see this because it was being shown on 35mm on film in a theater. I had never seen it before, so I was very excited. I was kind of disappointed with the way the print looked. It was a very old 35mm print. It was very degraded. It made the image look very orange and with a lot of grain in the way. And with that being said, I can't say I was the biggest fan of this movie either.
I never saw it.
I think I left enjoying it, but it was definitely way more different than I was expecting. Do not go if you're going to see this movie and you've seen Tree of Life. Do not go in expecting something similar to Tree of Life. I think my biggest complaint is that a lot of the characters felt very passive. I know that was probably the point, but. For the most part, I felt a little bit bored at times.
I've never been a huge, this. I appreciate A Thin RedLine. I think he's done one or two others that I thought were okay, but I've never been over the moon with Terrence Malick movies.
I love Tree of Life, but I can't say that I blame you. I do, credit where credit is due, though. I think that Martin Sheen is fantastic in this, and Sissy Spacek definitely has her moments. I don't think either of them are bad in this. I think it's more of a directorial choice on how to take the story that was in the way. I'm gonna give Badlands a 6. I didn't hate my time there, but I wasn't loving it either.
Gotcha.
All right, I'm gonna try to get these a little faster.
I
got 3 more. Me and my girlfriend continued our journey into trying to finish every Studio Ghibli movie out there. This time we sat down to watch a film called Porco Rosso. This is an earlier film of theirs, came out in 1992. And the English, we did watch the English dub, which I know people hate, but it was done by none other than, why am I blanking on his name? The guy who played the original Batman.
Michael Keaton.
Okay. Michael Keaton did the voice for Porco Rosso.
Now that there shows this is a generational show because you think the original Batman was Michael Keaton because it was to you.
I knew the second that I said it that it wasn't that Adam West is technically the original Batman, but then the original film version of the Batman, I'll say. Anyways, Porco Rosso, I had fun with this one, but I can't say that I loved it either. I don't think it holds up amongst the studio's other bigger work, but. A lot of interesting themes in this one. I always love it when Ghibli tries to tackle more adult themes in a more of a childlike way. Because this one very much is dealing with themes of World War II and fascism. It's about an Italian pilot who kind of abandons his post to become a bounty hunter. It's good fun, and I can see maybe if I was younger liking this a bit more. But Porco Rosso for me gets the 6.
Okay.
And now for the 2 big ones left.
The big ones.
I've been very excited to talk about this one. Do you remember last episode I talked about watching an Iranian film called Where is the Friend's House?
Yes. Of course, Jackson.
And I mentioned that it was the first film in a trilogy of films called the Coker Trilogy.
Okay.
So Where's the Friend's House?
You watched the second.
I watched all 3 of them.
All 3.
I finished the series because I'm one of my projects I'm doing is I'm reading an interview book of the filmmaker, and so I want to kind of watch more of his films before I get into it. But the first film, Where's the Friend's House, is very simple. It's about a child who realizes that he has accidentally taken his friend's notebook from class, and he has to kind of travel over to a different town to find his friend. And so it's a very endearing story of this kid who's trying to do the right thing while everyone's kind of getting in his way. The sequel, which is has 2 different titles depending on where you read. It's either called And Life Goes On or Life and Nothing More. The sequel is kind of a meta commentary of the first one. Okay. It is about the director of Where's the Friend's House traveling back to the town where they filmed it to check to see if his actors are still alive after an earthquake has devastated Iran.
Okay.
So it's based off of an actual earthquake, but it's kind of like a fill-in for the director. It's not the actual director in it, obviously. But it's about this. So it's really just about this director and his son who travel through Coker trying to find their actors. I had such a visceral emotional reaction to this movie. Wow. Really, it ended and I found myself nearly in tears. Truly beautiful human piece on coming together as a community. Something that I feel like we lack so much as Americans these days sometimes.
Yeah.
And so it felt very heartwarming seeing, these people who live in poverty in one of the most devastating periods of time to be in Iran, coming together to make something happen. And
now,
I found that to be very.
What is the three names of these?
The first one is called Where's the Friend's House. The second one that I just talked about is called And Life Goes On, or Life and Nothing More, depending on who you talk to. The third one, which I haven't talked about yet, is called Through the Olive Trees. I'm going to try to explain as best as I can. This is a meta commentary on the second one. So this story follows.
A film student. I love it.
This story follows two actors from the second one who play a married couple. So it's like the actors in the second film,
right?
But like in real life.
So they played a character in the second one, but now in the third one they're playing themselves?
They're playing themselves during the filming of the second one.
That's weird.
So you get this really interesting, like, in-depth where it's like characters come back and it's like people playing themselves and they're like talking about the way that they handled the movie. I mean, Through the Olive Trees starts with the guy who plays the director looking into the camera and saying, "What you are about to see is a film. I am the only actor in this movie. Everybody else is playing themselves." And then that's really, really special filmmaking. A lot of commentary on
what year
the power of movies.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I just got to ask, what year did these all come out?
Let me look. It was like the first one came out in 1987, and then the second one came out in 1992, and the third one in 1994.
I never heard of this.
Yeah. The second one, I had a truly visceral response to. I didn't love the third one as much. I still loved it a lot, but I don't think it was as good. So in order from first to last, Where's the Friend's House for me got a 9. Life and Nothing More for me gets a 10.
Wow.
And then Through the Olive Trees gets an 8.
An 8.
Really, really special films. If for some reason you're in the mood for something unique, I would take the time to sit down.
Where
and watch
would you find this? Is it on Criterion?
Criterion.
You love that Criterion. That is your jam there.
Yeah, they got the good stuff, man.
And these are Iranian films, you said?
Yeah, they're Iranian.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Abbas Kiarostami.
Has this guy been doing anything since then, or like he did? I have done my trilogy, and I am done.
No. He's done a lot more. I mean, his most critically acclaimed films came after this. He's got a great. I mean, I've talked about all of them actually on the podcast. He did a film called Taste of Cherry about. I love this.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
I talked about it. It's about a man who is like traveling around. This is like in like the main city of Tehran. Trying to find someone to look after his belongings after he kills himself, basically.
Right.
But he's also got another very famous movie called Close Up that is also like a pseudo-documentary style film that kind of bends the line between reality and fiction.
See, my only question is, why did he stop at 3 with that trilogy thing? Like,
he should have just kept going.
They've done I don't know if you know this, they've done like 15 Fast and the Furious movies. You can keep.
You should have just kept going. Yeah,
you should keep making those. You know, maybe the next one the actors go into space like they did, or they jump the Grand Canyon or something like that.
I was mentioning to someone because in the second one, they never show if the director ends up finding the two actors, if they're alive.
Right.
So I was like, damn, did those guys really die in the earthquake? But then they come back in the third one, and I was like, damn, I was cheering like it was a Marvel movie. I was like, oh my god, they're
alive.
They're here. Like, they're fine. They're okay.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, really, really great human films. Yeah, that's my extended edition of the Art House Corner.
No, it's been 3. It's been listen. Hey, if you're listening and you're still with us, it's been 3 weeks. We got catching up. See, we're not lazy when we're not performing. We're still here. We're still here, and we're still seeing stuff. Still to come here in just a few moments. We're going to go over each of the Academy Awards. We'll go over the boring ones rather quickly and give our predictions of who we think will win or should win, as well as a breakdown of one of the foreign films. I'll run down just a few of the stuff. Because I don't want to spend a lot of time on any of these, to be honest with you. Two big movies have come and gone in the theaters. I saw both of them. Out of Darkness is the British film that's actually from 2022. It was a big hit in England in 23 and just got released here in the U.S. It's from director Andrew Cumming. I think he cut his teeth on a lot of British television. This is, if you haven't seen the previews, it's being pitched as like a Stone Age horror movie, and that's a big mislead on this movie. It's much more of a, I would say, thriller with an M. Night Shyamalan type twist about a group of 6 Paleolithic Stone Age people who are looking, who have left a land of barrenness and are trying to find a cave and a new home. And the young son of the leader of the pack gets abducted by a creature in the middle of the night, and they must enter these possibly haunted woods to retrieve him. This is that movie that if you did not see the trailers for or heard about, they created an entire dialect themselves for the movie, a Stone Age.
That's cool.
So the movie is in subtitles in a language that does not exist, which I think is an interesting spin. Everyone here deserves credit for what they do. My biggest problem with the movie is probably the fact that the studios and the producers advertise this falsely. It's not what you think it's going to be. Yes, there's some bloody, gory moments. But if mysterious creatures and cannibalism and a little bit of self-searching about how humans interact with each other is your thing, it's an interesting film to get. I'm going to give it a very solid C. I don't think it failed or succeeded. But one that did fail, let's promise me we're not going to go off on a Marvel rant here. Madam Web may still be in,
oh wow, yeah, you saw that.
It may still be in a couple theaters. S.J. Clarkson, who cut her teeth on Succession, and Jessica Jones is the director here, female.
She directed one of the best episodes of Succession on air, but I don't know if you saw that. She directed the Bachelor Party
Bachelor
episode.
one, yeah.
Like genuinely one of the best episodes of TV I've seen in my lifetime.
Yeah. Now, listen, so many things can go wrong with a movie from its conception to its end. You can't always blame the director, and at one point the director hands it off to the studios, and they can cut it, edit it, advertise it, do whatever they want with it. I guess Madam Web is a very near and dear character in the world of comic book, graphic novel, I never want to offend anybody, world. I do not find her very compelling. I don't think Dakota Johnson is a great superhero. By the way, if you want to know what her power is, she sees the future. And that's it. She doesn't have any web slinging skills.
But does she have the ability to change the future?
She can change the future by going, everyone get out of here because I know that this building is going to collapse. She doesn't go into a dimensional.
That's so bad.
Yeah, so she
What's the point?
She basically runs around warning everybody, get out. There are, however, a team of new Spider Girls in this story that have powers or are going to eventually get powers, and I don't know how they get them. This, by the way, I'm not going to go on about this movie. The fact that her name is Cassandra Webb, I mean, that's her name.
Well, I mean, also the fact that Dakota Johnson has basically taken every press junket a chance to bash the movie. Before it even came out, she was like, I don't think this is going to be... She didn't even see it. So,
it's...
I mean, why would I?
It is a bit of a train wreck. For you nerds, Adam Scott's in this, and he plays a young Uncle Ben, whose sister gives birth to gives birth to a new baby that may or may not be named Peter. So if you're looking for your tie-in, I don't care if I just ruin the spoiler there. If you don't figure that out in the first 5 minutes.
Who cares?
Madam Webb gets a very strong D for me. This is just... The only reason it's not worse is because it doesn't outstay its welcome that long. The last 2 movies I'll talk about before we get to the Academy Awards also were streaming movies on Netflix. One of them is horrible, and one of them, I can guarantee you, may be the worst film I will see in 2024. We will see. The first one is called Players. It's directed by Trish C. She cut her teeth on the Pitch Perfect 3 movie, I think. This is a movie...
That's a classic.
Yeah, this is Gina Rodriguez, Damon Wayans, Augustus Prue, I believe, and Joel Courtney. They play 4 friends, hey Jackson, get this, who help set each other to get laid that night. So they have different games when they go out to bars and nightclubs where you play this character so I can come in and be the hero. And the fact that one of these is a woman makes it even weirder. Like, she's all about hooking up with the hot guy at this place and that. So everyone's on a sex tear until she thinks she's fallen in love with a new young hot guy and she wants to do it for real. But of course, she can't just be herself. They have to play games with her because they're players, and this is how players go.
Just abandon the boys.
Can't just abandon the boys.
Jeez.
Of course, there's one of the boys that she may in fact end up with at the end, and blah 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 blah. This is a nightmare Netflix made-for-TV movie. Players gets a very solid D as well. However, one of the worst movies, and I sat through it, Jackson. Tyler Perry. That should be enough right there. Tyler,
why did you do that to yourself?
The new movie on Netflix is called Tyler Perry's Mea Culpa. And I thought, well, one, Tyler Perry's not in this. He's not dressed as a woman, Medea. Yeah. And this is a new direction, they say, for Tyler Perry. This is an erotic thriller. Kelly Rowland's best known as one of the three women in Destiny's Child with Beyonce back in the day. She's the lead. And, of course, in a movie about a female lawyer called Mea Culpa, her name is Mia Harper. Again, what's with the names? Why do we have to hit everything on that? Madam Webb has to be Cassandra Webb.
Jeez.
A lawyer has to be Mia in a movie called Mea Culpa. She is taking the case of defending an artist, this really buff artist who may or may not have killed his girlfriend. And
oh my God, they got Trevante Rhodes in this.
Yeah, it's it is an embarrassment. But if you think this is a Tyler Perry movie, we're talking sex clubs and threesomes. And it's trying to be Basic Instinct and Fatal Attraction, and it is horribly acted. It is contrived. It has more plot twists at the end that are absolutely ludicrous.
Christ.
I am recommending everybody watch this movie because this very much may be the Showgirls of our generation. A movie so bad, so horribly performed that it might actually be entertaining to watch it. Mea Culpa gets an absolute must-see F. That's an F, but I'm putting an asterisk next to it because you must see it to appreciate just how horribly... It's one of the worst scripts I can imagine.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
There you have it.
Damn.
So that's what we've been doing. Hey, new in theaters this week is Kung Fu Panda 4. We will not be seeing that. We're both giving it an A+. So there you have it. That's an advanced preview. We thought it was
awesome. We did it.
We thought it was better than 3, not as good as 2.
They did an advanced screening at my school I didn't get to go to, but I had some friends that went, and they said that it was the rowdiest screening they've ever been to, because everyone, I mean, it's Kung Fu Panda 4. Everyone's in the crowd going, yeah! Let's get, just like cheering on every time something happens. I just think that's so funny.
Yeah. All right, we are moments away from our Academy Award picks, and here is our segue into it. Jackson has been dying to see one of the nominees, so technically this is not going to make our list of 2024. This is a movie from 2023. However, a couple of the movies, I believe The Teacher's Lounge, as well as this one, really were not released for anyone to see here in the States until after the new year. So this is a 2023 movie. Jackson, why don't you tell them a little bit about it and why you were so excited to see it? We both did.
Yeah, so this is a film coming from director Wim Wenders, who you guys would know from Paris, Texas, and the film that I saw just the other week, which is Wings of Desire. Yep. Sorry, I totally blanked on that for a second.
And neither one of us cared for Wings of Desire as much as
neither one of us cared for. Yeah, as much as people generally do. Yeah. It stars Kojima Yakusho, who I know and love from a Japanese film called Cure, like a psychological thriller from a director that I love out there. But he's also been in films like Babel, Tampopo, Pulse, things like that. I've been so excited to see this, because I think the trailer just made it look fantastic. Mm-hmm. I love the song. I love the title. I love the actor. You know, I've only seen one Wim Wenders film, and I wasn't huge on it, but I'm willing to look past that and give him another chance. It's been, a few decades at this point, after all. But I've also heard in interviews him talking about this was truly like a COVID movie for him, where he decided to kind of relearn how to direct and kind of take things in a new direction. And I think that's very valiant and a valuable lesson we can all take away from growing old.
If you showed me Wings of Desire and then Perfect Days, which is the film we're talking about afterwards, and told me they were from the same director, I would have been like, wow, it's definitely
definitely different.
I think maybe not thematically, there's some similarities, but definitely in style and look and everything.
Yeah, Perfect Days follows a man named Hirayama as he goes through his day-to-day life as a janitor of the public toilets in Tokyo. It's a very simple story that has more than meets the eye. I'll say, but as a baseline concept, very very simple. We just kind of follow this old man as he goes through his life cleaning toilets. I want to hear what you think about this first.
Really?
I do.
Okay. It is certainly what you would call a slow burn. It's a movie that very much wants to take you through. There's a point, I think, in lives with most human beings where you fall into a certain pattern and you find great joy in very small things that either, one, you repeat every day, or the little tiny nuances or changes that happen every day. An example would be you take great pleasure every day in having that first can of caffeine in the morning. It's the same cup of coffee you have every day, but you take it and it always brings a smile to your face. Or you might sit on a park bench one day and you always look at the same tree, but you see it slightly different than the day before. Or there's a bird on a limb that wasn't there the day before, and you take some pleasure in that. And there's some beauty in that thought and in that theory, but there is also some tediousness that comes with it, at least as a viewer. I thought Perfect Days was a beautifully and well-executed film for the first, I would say, 2/3, but I would be lying if I didn't say I was somewhat bored with it. I think he's a very interesting actor on screen. It's very interesting to watch him go through the process of the days that he bathes, the way that he shaves, how he folds his bed. I did find the guy who played his assistant incredibly bad. I thought he was over the top.
What happened with that casting choice?
I thought he was in a different movie. He almost seemed like a cartoon character. There's a whole side plot with him and his girlfriend that it felt like it kind of put the brakes on it for a little bit. I did appreciate the last third of the movie more when we got his niece came into the picture. We found out about his relationship with his sister. We got a little bit of glimpse of what life was like with his dad and how his dad affected where he is in life and how the two siblings have taken two different paths. I found that more compelling, and I had really wished they had had more of that through the film. I thought it took a long time to get there. So I'm very torn on this. It's a movie that really I felt just dragged and then started to get a little momentum at the end, and then I was like, well, that's the end of it. Yeah. I got everything he was trying to say. I thought it was shot very well. I don't know if it was dynamically shot, but I mean, he definitely captured Tokyo. I felt like I was in Tokyo, and you want that. And I definitely enjoyed the very subtle performance of this actor. You know, he's given kind of a moment at the end of finally letting some emotion out that we haven't seen. But I can't look past the fact that I was like, I've seen him clean a lot of toilets, you know, where it's like,
for sure.
Is something going to happen this day, and then something doesn't happen. So I'm right down the middle on this one, Jackson, and I'm going to give it, unfortunately, just kind of a solid C. It's an average film for me. Uh oh.
I hate to say it, but I agree with basically everything that you said.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you were going to be like, Dad, you are an idiot.
No. Listen, here's what I'll say. I found his character to be very relatable in a lot of ways because I too am I have a lot of OCD tendencies in the same way that he does. I have a lot of processes that I have to go through. It's something that I've been dealing with a lot this year, especially of like going through specific I don't know, what would you call it, like patterns in order to do something.
Yeah.
Like especially when it came to, I related very heavily to the way that he shoots film. Like I'm very calculated with the way that I do that, and like the way that I like store it on the wall. I've got it all labeled. I have the dates done.
He had boxes of it too.
He had the boxes. Yeah. Just like I found a lot to relate to with his character as far as like trying to find patterns to hold on to throughout your day, and I love that aspect of the film a lot. I thought the performance from him was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like I thought that like truly, like you can see how much he enjoys his life, but you can also tell there's like a repressed something that he's holding back. And I think that the way that he lets it out in those moments with his niece are really something beautiful. I love the way this movie is shot. I think it looks beautiful. I love the color choices. I love the way that his house was lit with like the purple of the lights over the plants and stuff. I think that I just don't like Wim Wenders as a director that much. I think that that's where my disconnect comes from, because I felt a lot of the. I don't know, because in theory I should love this movie. I should, but there was something about how. The way that it went about the structure of the story that I felt really, really made it fall apart for me.
I feel like if we just had a few less perfect days, I feel like
right.
I went through like 12. I feel like I went through like 10 days of him clipping a little tree thing to plant this thing.
Yeah,
I was like, I kind of get the point of it now. Let's bring those characters in, but.
Yeah, I didn't love the B plot with the guy and his girlfriend. Didn't really add much for me.
No.
I really wanted to learn more about the character by the end of it. I feel like I only got glimpses into his backstory. I'm sure that's intentional, but I think the eyes of viewer really wanted to go, man, but like I want to know more about this guy than just, through his niece and his sister. But my biggest complaint, Dad, and this is so menial, but like I've been listening to the song "Perfect Days" for like a month now in preparation for this movie, and I felt like they really butchered the needle drop.
Yeah,
it didn't hit as hard as I thought. I was like, you named your movie after the song, and it didn't have that punch that I wanted it to have.
They didn't use it correctly either. There's a lot of
I don't think they did either.
There's a lot of songs in here, and because he puts in a different cassette tape every day.
Yeah,
that's one of the no spoiler. He
which I also loved. I love that aspect because I also relate to that very heavily.
So like, it was like okay, he's good, and it was almost always American music he was listening to, usually classic songwriters. But they didn't even utilize that well. It's like I wasn't like
I didn't think so either.
Yeah, but a lot to admire here. But again,
I'm gonna go with a 6 for this one.
Yeah,
an unfortunate 6. I wish that I can give it higher, guys. I really do. I wanted to love this so. I mean, you guys know I've been raving about it all month. Like, I'm just glad I got the chance to see it though in the theater because I was worried that I wasn't going to get that chance. So,
do you want to see the Teacher's Lounge?
What's that?
The foreign film. Have you seen the trailers for that? It's one of the other international movies. That was
the cooking one?
No,
that's a different one. That's like Fallen Leaves. No, that's another different one. What am I talking about?
Yeah, Teacher's Lounge is like I don't know, some drama set in a
it's the French one.
Yeah, French one.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look great. I don't know.
Well, there you have it. However, will Perfect Days win the International Feature Film at this week's Academy Awards? Will one of us pick it as our choice as I don't know, but all will be revealed.
Who knows?
When we come back from this sponsored break. Okay, we're back, and
wouldn't that be cool?
Wouldn't that be awesome? That was our sponsor. That was I think it was Scott Park.
Yeah, the shortest sponsored break.
Scott Park and his actor buddy of mine once. He's like, on your podcast, you guys got to do commercials, and if you don't have a sponsor, you just make up a commercial. Just be like for apples. Apples, they're red, they're green, they're delicious. You should try them. Apples, like just start doing spots for just things. And eventually they will come, but we'll see about that. Hey, everybody, this Sunday is the Academy Awards. Here it comes. We're going to break it down. I am going to be posting all of our predictions in the next day or two. So you will be able to go onto our social media sites on Instagram and see exactly all of the picks that Jackson made and all of the picks that I made and decide how you want to fill out your ballots. Do you trust me, the guy who knows what he's talking about, or the guy over here?
Wow.
The guy over here who watches Angus the Pangus on the, I don't even remember what the movie
I'm not even going to blame you for getting that one wrong. What a horrible title for a movie.
All right, let's start breaking them down, Jackson. You ready, buddy? I have your I have your ballot here. I am going to fill them out when we get to them. I'm going to start out with live action short. We are not going to read all the nominees for some of the lesser categories. So looking at live action short, Jackson, who would you like to pick for that?
This is my pick to win.
To win.
Like who I think is going to win is I believe it's going to go to The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar.
Okay. I agree with you, Jackson. I think we both agree that Wes Anderson is going to get that. Not to mention it's the only movie that people can actually see very easily because it's on Netflix. Animated short film, Jackson. Who do you like in that category?
For animated short film, I'm going to go with Letter to a Pig.
Letter to a Pig is also who I am picking, Jackson. That will be the winner. I would say, from what I've heard, any movie that has an anti-war might have a chance. So I think War is Over is a sleeper here that could sneak in. But I too,
I've heard it's between those two. It's kind of it's kind of between those two.
But general. I too am going with that as well. Again, excuse me. Looking at some of the shorter categories that I don't want to go talk about endlessly. Original song. Do we have any doubt who's winning that one, Jackson?
That's going to be Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish will win that for What Was I Made For from the Barbie
movie.
I
will say, though, I really do, like the one that I want to win, I would love A Song for My People from Killers of the Flower Moon to win that.
Okay.
I think that song is fantastic.
I'm not doing what we want to win for these because, to be honest with you, I just haven't seen a lot of them, or I didn't know the songs on that. But if you have thoughts on that, please introspect. Who do you want to win and who do you think should win, Jackson? Best visual effects.
Best visual effects. I actually have these as the same one, Dad. I think that Godzilla -1 is going to take this, and I think that it's the one I also want to win.
Okay. Actually, I do believe Godzilla -1 will pick, but my pick would be Napoleon. No, I'm just fucking with you.
Right.
I'm just fucking with
you.
Okay,
I didn't know you saw that.
I didn't even see Napoleon, and I have no idea.
I didn't either.
Winning best visual effects. Let's see. We've got production design. Your nominees are Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Jackson, if you were voting, who would you pick for production design?
It would go to Poor Things.
Poor Things. Jackson, will Poor Things win?
Yes.
Jackson is going Poor Things. Jackson, if I was in the Academy, I would also pick Poor Things to win. I'm going for the upset here. I think Barbie is going to win production.
Yeah, it was between those two for me. I think those two are kind of the ones in the running as far as I can tell.
I think Barbie has to win something, and I think that, except for the song, may very well be it. May very well be it. Documentary short film, Jackson. Who do you think is going to win that?
Documentary short film. I have the ABCs of Book Burning.
The ABCs of Book Burning. Jackson, that just cost you your Oscar pool. You are officially dead. It will be.
Think?
My pick is The Last Repair Shop.
Really? I heard the ABCs of Book Burning has some heat behind it.
Well, then let's see what happens, Jackson. We have disagreed now on, well, I'll summarize at the end. Documentary feature film. Jackson, I regrettably have not seen any of these.
I have not either.
Here's the thing. I'm a documentary fan, too, and I feel bad that I haven't. But from what you believe, Jackson, who will win documentary feature?
I've heard there is some heat behind 20 Days in Marpole.
Is that your final pick?
Yes, it is.
Jackson, you are correct. That is also my pick. Listen.
You say correct like they've already happened.
Yeah, because I know.
Because
I know.
You don't know shit.
Here's all you have to know. Holocaust. It's probably going to 20. Or I'm sorry. Well, you could call it the Holocaust. It's about Ukraine and the Russian invasion. So I mean, our modern day Holocaust. Film editing. Here's one we might want to talk about a little bit. Your nominees are Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Who would you pick, Jackson? First off, who would you pick?
I would have, without a doubt, not even close, picked Oppenheimer.
Okay. But, is there a but?
No, it's going to go to Oppenheimer.
You think it's going to Oppenheimer. I got to be honest with you. That's a lot. That's a lock. I don't think I would have picked Oppenheimer, though. To be honest with you, I think I would have picked Poor Things on this one. I like the way he edited that film much more than I did Oppenheimer, but I think
I won't fault you for that.
I, too, am also going with Oppenheimer. Makeup and hairstyling, Jackson. Thoughts?
Makeup. Sorry, let me find it. I think my list is different than yours. Let me just go around. Where's my best makeup and hairstyle thing? Why don't you say yours first? I've been going first.
Makeup and hairstyling is no doubt. They put a prosthetic nose on him. They aged him up, down, all around. It's going to go to Maestro. Their one and only Oscar.
Who would you want it to go to?
Poor Things. 100% Poor Things.
I also want it to go to Poor Things. I think it might go to Poor Things.
So
Willem Dafoe, man, did you forget?
Okay.
He's prosthetic up.
Okay, so Jackson's cementing his loss in 2024.
Well, we'll
with
see about
Poor
that, man.
Things.
I feel like there was more to do. You're forgetting the hair aspect.
Okay, we'll see. Original score, Jackson. American fiction, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Death. Should I just type in Indiana Jones right now for you? Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Who would you pick, and who do you think will win?
If it were up to me, I would have picked The Zone of Interest, which you might realize is not nominated.
It's not on there.
Out of the nominees, I would have gone with Oppenheimer, and I think that this is no doubt a lock for Oppenheimer.
Yeah, Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is an absolute 100% lock for original score. I have to be honest with you. I would have gone Killers of the Flower Moon, though.
And you know what? I'm not going to blame you for that. That had a great soundtrack to it.
I loved the score for that a little bit more than I did Oppenheimer, but my ballot shows Oppenheimer. That's who I am picking. Sound, Jackson, the creator, Maestro, Mission Impossible, Oppenheimer, and something called, I'm going to make sure I pronounce it correctly, Zone of Interest. The Zone of Interest. Jackson, I'm pretty sure who we know you think, or you want to win. But will they win?
But let me preface. It's not who I think I want to win. It's who should win. The Zone of Interest should win for sound, but it's going. It without a doubt, it's Oppenheimer's going to take it.
So you're going Oppenheimer on Zone.
Locked. Yeah.
If I were to pick somebody in this category, 100,000%, I would pick the Zone of Interest. And Jackson, I'm picking Zone of Interest to win. I think it's going to upset Oppenheimer.
All right, listen, I would love to see it. I wouldn't be mad at taking that loss, to be honest.
I'm just telling you, I might know what I'm talking about. We'll have to see. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's see. We still have international feature film. We have Il Capitano. We have Perfect Days, which we just talked about. Society of the Snow. That's the Netflix movie about the plane crash. The Teacher's Lounge, which is the French film that neither one of us saw, and The Zone of Interest. Jackson, what would you like to win, and what do you think will win?
I would like The Zone of Interest to win. Big shock. And it's going to go to The Zone of Interest. Without Anatomy of the Fall in this category, I think it's kind of a...
I think 100%. If The Zone of Interest, you might as well start protesting now. If that does not win, I can't see anything. Maybe Society of the Snow because it's on Netflix and more people saw it, but I have to have a little bit more faith in Academy voters that they made sure to see that. Hey, costume design, Jackson, you got Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Who do you like and who will win?
You know what? I'm just gonna bang them out. I like Poor Things, and I think Poor Things is gonna take it.
Okay.
I think that. Yeah,
I actually agree with you 100% on that. But keep your eye on Barbie. There is.
I was just gonna say this was a tough between the two of them. I think that I have a feeling that they might slip in a Barbie somewhere here, but I don't know. Costume design feels like Poor Things has it, though.
I agree with you. Animated feature film, Jackson, The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Nimona, I'm not sure, Robot Dreams, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Who would you pick, Jackson, and who will the Academy pick?
This was, so I personally, I enjoyed Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse over The Boy and the Heron, which is unusual for me. You'd think that I would like The Boy and the Heron more. I think that it might have been a small misstep, but, to each their own. This was one of the hardest ones for me to choose behind who's going to win this.
It was between.
I had a really hard time.
Between Robot Dreams and Nimona?
Yeah, obviously the two. Well, let's not forget Elemental.
Yeah.
But I think that when I look at it from an Academy standpoint, I think that they might see superhero movie and go, and I'm going to have to say The Boy and the Heron taking this one.
Okay. I'm going to remind you the first Spider-Man did win the Academy Award. Do you want to stick with that answer? Do you want to stick? Did you want to stick with that answer?
I'm going to stick it out though. I'm going to stick it out. I think they'll take Miyazaki over Spider-Man.
You're going to go The Boy and the Heron.
Yep. Lock it.
Jackson, I agree with you 100%. I did not see The Boy and the Heron, so if I had to pick, I would have picked Spider-Man. But I think The Boy and the Heron, at the end of the day, is probably going to come out with that. Let's go to screenplays, Jackson. Your adapted screenplays based on previous material is American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. Who would you pick, and who's going to win?
You know, for this one, I actually would like to see Poor Things win. I think that from a screenplay standpoint, I think that Poor Things is stronger than Zone of Interest. For this particular one, and I also think Poor Things is going to take it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I could not disagree with you more. I actually, as far as who's going to win, I think this is a 2-horse race between American Fiction and Oppenheimer. I don't think Poor Things or Zone of Interest are even close to winning this.
Dude, can I change? I'm so sorry. I didn't even see Oppenheimer on the list.
We are not locked in. We are not locked in. Again, your nominees for adapted screenplay are American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. Would you like to change, Jackson? Would you like to change your pick for adapted screenplay?
Please. You know what? I'm still going to say that I would like Poor Things to win.
Yes,
but I would like to change my pick of who is going to win to Oppenheimer.
Final answer.
Final answer.
Okay. If I was picking one here, I would say Poor Things as well. I think it's the better adapted script out of all these. I still say it's a 2-legged race, though. I don't think Poor Things is in it. I think a 2-legged race, 2-horse race. What kind of saying is that, dumbass? Between American Fiction and Oppenheimer. I've gone back and forth and back and forth. Jackson, I'm going with American Fiction to win adapted screenplay here. I think they're going to give it something.
And there it is. That's where he loses, folks.
That's where we come back and tie, and then it comes back to the last one. Original screenplay, you have Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Maestro, May December sneaking in somewhere, and Past Lives. My pick for favorite film of the year. Jackson, what would you pick, and what do you think will win?
This might shock some people from what I say that I want to win. I think that from a purely screenplay standpoint, when I look at these all individually, I like May December.
Okay. No, you know what?
I didn't love the movie, but most of my issues were more, I think, directorial and cinematography problems.
It's a great script.
But from a screenplay perspective, I think it's a really, really strong script. However, I would be a fool to vote for that one because, do I need to say it? Anatomy of a Fall has this in the back.
Jackson, I don't think it's going to come as a surprise to anyone that my pick for best screenplay of the year would be Past Lives. I love that movie. It's my choice for number 1 of the year. But you are 100% correct. Anatomy of Fall is going to win this. When people talk about Anatomy of a Screenplay or Anatomy of a Fall, they almost always are discussing the screenplay first.
The dialogue,
all right, that takes us down to our final big ones here. Here we go, Jackson. Let's see if there's really any. Did I miss any of the smaller ones? Nope. I got that one. I got you down there, Jack. You're gonna get that one wrong. That one wrong. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Got that one.
Talk a lot of smack, man. I'll just see where it gets you. We'll see.
Cinematography, Mr. Burns. Now this is one that if you miss, I'm gonna give you shit about for the whole year. El Conda. Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Jackson, who would you pick and who will win?
I think I would love to see Poor Things win this.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see a beautifully shot film, gorgeous colors, stylistically beautiful, just very much so my thing. That is a Jackson Burns certified cinematography movie. However, Hoyt van Hoytema is going to be on stage accepting this award for Oppenheimer.
I agree with everything you just said. My choice would have been Poor Things. Oppenheimer has it locked. I think most of the rest of these are locks. Actress in a supporting role, Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks, The Color Purple, America Ferrara, Barbie, Jodie Foster, Nyad, and Divine Joy Randolph, The Holdovers. Jackson, who would you pick? So I think we all know we're going to pick the winners on these, but who would you pick, Jackson, out of those performances?
I think, and mind you, I have not seen Nyad or The Color Purple, just like 90% of people watching this probably. I honestly, out of all these performances, Emily Blunt.
Really?
I loved Emily Blunt in that. I thought she was I thought she had some phenomenal moments in Oppenheimer. With that being said, give Divine Joy Randolph her.
Yeah, I think I have Divine Joy Randolph as well. And to be honest with you, I think I probably would give it to her out of those. I think it's probably one of the weaker categories. To be honest with you,
so too.
To be honest with you, the person who I would have voted for if she had been on here would have been Julianne Moore from May December.
I couldn't agree more. I cannot believe that she wasn't nominated.
Yeah, I think she deserves to be on there a lot more. Actress in a leading role: Annette Bening in Naiad, Lily Gladstone, Killers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Huller for Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan in Maestro, and Emma Stone in Poor Things. Jackson, this is the one big category that people are going back and forth on.
This is tough.
But before we get who you think will win, who would you pick?
Actually, before we move on, I just want to say supporting actress. Also, I thought there were some great supporting actresses in Killers of the Flower Moon as well. A lot of Lily Gladstone's siblings did a phenomenal job.
Did.
Just want to mention that real quick.
Yeah.
This was a tough one for me to even pick about what I wanted. I think that when it comes down to it, when it comes down to to a performance that I think is going to last truly a lifetime, I have to go Lily Gladstone.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think she was phenomenal in that, and listen, not to take away from Emma Stone's performance in Poor Things, because she is fantastic, and not to take away from Sandra Hüller's performance in Anatomy of a Fall, she's also fantastic. But Lily Gladstone, I think, comes out swinging. I mean, I don't know. I would just love to see her win this. You know, it's very rare you see someone, obviously of native descent, coming on stage and accepting an award, but not just that, but like more of an unknown actress before this on stage accepting an award, and I'd love to see that.
But do you think she will win?
Yeah. Yes.
You're picking Lily Gladstone.
I do. Yeah.
Final answer. You want to lock that in?
Final answer. I'm locking that in. I'm very solid on that.
Jackson, I enjoyed Lily Gladstone very much. I still swear by this. I feel like it was a supporting actress role. I think it was a great supporting actress role. I think she is hardly in a lot of that movie. My pick would have been Emma Stone, and I just think she carries that film. She's the heart of the movie. She's in every single scene of that movie. Yeah. I think that is a lead actress performance. With that said, it is obviously a race between Lily Gladstone and Emma Stone. I went back and forth on this. At the end of the day, I don't think they're going to pass up on the opportunity to have a wonderful speech from a Native American recipient at the Academy Awards. I do think Lily Gladstone is going to take this.
Yeah.
Actor in a supporting role: Sterling K. Brown, American Fiction; Robert De Niro, Killers of the Flower Moon; Robert Downey Jr., Oppenheimer; Ryan Gosling in Barbie; and Mark Ruffalo, Poor Things. Jackson, could we lock it in? Robert Downey Jr., we're both picking him to win, correct? Any doubt in that?
To want or to like actually win?
To win, to actually win.
Yes.
Okay.
Robert Downey Jr. would take the award.
Would you pick Robert Downey Jr. to win?
I want Mark Ruffalo. I want Mark Ruffalo real bad.
I do too. Nothing to take away from Robert Downey Jr. Great,
phenomenal in that movie.
Very good. But if I was picking, I would have a hard time not checking off Mark Ruffalo. And
agreed.
Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, so funny.
Actor in a lead role: Bradley Cooper in Maestro, Coleman Domingo in Rustin, Paul Giamatti, The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction. Who would you pick, Jackson? No pressure. Who do you go with?
I would pick Cillian Murphy, and I also think Cillian Murphy's going to win this.
Sure about that?
I don't think this is as tight of a race as people are making it seem. I think this is his award to lose.
Now everyone's saying Paul Giamatti is the dark horse. This could be the one big upset of the night. You'd be going out on a limb and taking a chance, but maybe that's what would catch you up to me and all the incorrect ones you have made so far. Am I locking in Cillian Murphy? And you don't even know who I'm picking.
Yes, you're do it. Yeah, lock it in. I'm very secure in that choice.
Would you have picked Cillian Murphy?
Yes.
Okay. I too have Cillian Murphy, and to be honest with you, if I was voting right here, I would have voted for Nicolas Cage. But he did not get nominated, which makes me upset.
For a dream scenario?
Dream scenario. But with that said, I got to go with Cillian Murphy. Again, when the film is called Oppenheimer, and you carry the movie by playing the character Oppenheimer, that's a pretty big task.
That's it.
Jackson,
try to get in my head, you asshole. I see you.
You see me. Jackson, director, Anatomy of a Falls, whoever did that, Killers of the Flower Moon, Scorsese. I feel bad. Who did Anatomy of a Fall? Why am I forgetting their name?
Justine Triet.
Yes, our lone female director. Nolan on Oppenheimer, Mr. Z on Poor Things, and Jonathan Glazer, The Zone of Interest. Jackson, who would you pick?
Jonathan Glazer.
You would? Oh, you would pick him?
Without a doubt. I think that in film, genuinely, one of the best directed movies I've seen in the last probably 5 years.
Yeah.
Like a true vision carried out to completion, control over every aspect of film.
Yeah.
Yeah. With that being said, he doesn't have a chance.
Yeah.
Because it's going to go to Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, it's going to Christopher Nolan. And Jackson, believe it or not, I agree with you 100%. I would have picked Jonathan Glazer. No offense to Christopher Nolan. And let's be honest, this will probably be the best movie that Christopher Nolan ever does. Do you think he has? Do you think he has better than this in him? Do you think? I'm still remembering.
I don't want to. I'm not going to make a statement on it because I think that I don't want to jinx it. I think that for me, for movies that Jackson Burns likes, I think that he's just now catching his stride.
Right.
I think that if he can continue down a path of that Oppenheimer started, that we might be seeing a great run. But again, keep in mind I haven't seen Interstellar. I know people love that movie. You hated it.
Hated it.
Considered one of the best movies of all time by a lot of people.
Hated it. Hated Tenet. He's burned me too much. I
hated Tenet too. But
your Best Picture nominees are American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Past Lives, and The Zone of Interest. Jackson, who would you pick for Best Film of the Year, and who do you think will win?
It's The Zone of Interest.
Yeah,
it's The Zone of Interest.
And I am most definitely Past Lives. Those were both our number one picks of the year. But it is safe to say that Oppenheimer was on both of our lists of the top 10, and I don't think any of us are going to be throwing anything at the TV when it does win the Academy Award. Jackson, am I locking you in for Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
so I don't know. Maybe a few surprises. Maybe not. Let's go down here. Let's see. We disagree on... No. Nothing in the first column. Second column, we disagree. Agreed. We disagree on documentary short film. We disagree on nope. We disagree on makeup and hairstyle. This one, nope. This one, nope. This one, nope. And then the last column, we disagree on production design. Nope, same. We disagree on sound. Nope. We disagree on adapted screenplay. And that's it. So 5. Oh, it's going to be close. It's going to be
a close race.
It's going to be a close one. Last year
you won winner.
Last year you were all over the map. I was just happy you got
I don't want to talk about last year. Last year was dumb.
Happy you got 1 or 2 right. Last year.
I just didn't have faith in myself last year.
I understand.
I didn't have faith that my Everything Everywhere constituents would pull through.
Yeah, there you have it. Let's do one side bet on the Academy Awards. Jackson, make one bold prediction about the Academy Awards. I'll make one bold prediction about the Academy Awards. We'll see if either one is right. I am going to make the prediction that there will be 2... No, I will make a prediction there will be 2 mentions or people will bring up in some kind of roundabout way Will Smith.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that's going to be my one little... Do you have any weird Oscar prediction? I'm kind of putting you on the spot because I didn't tell you to prep or anything. I think there's going to be 2 instances.
I'm going to say that there is going to be one person who comes out to announce an award. And they're going to be wearing a silly costume, and that's going to be the joke of the night. So-and-so is wearing wore a silly costume for their announcement. Isn't that great? Remember that one year when Amy Schumer came down from the ceiling wearing that Spider-Man costume, and everyone's like, "Ugh, what the hell?"
All right,
so we're gonna get another one of those.
Someone's gonna try, they're gonna come down dressed up like a Nazi or something from behind a wall.
Yeah, persona of interest.
Would that be so bad? Here to accept the award for
persona comes out wearing the outfit from the movie.
Oh my god,
carrying that goddamn baby.
Yeah. Now, costumes don't count during musical numbers. Like if they're doing like a Barbie.
No, it has to be I think an announcer is going to come out wearing something that I'm not even going to say a costume. I'm just going to say wearing something that they shouldn't. Like that's the joke. It's like, what are they doing?
Exactly. Like why are you why are you dressing that weird? Blah, blah, blah. And that's the joke. I get it. All right, let's see if those predictions are right. Please follow my son Jackson at Jackson N Burns on the TikTok and the Instagram. And all the social media stuff. I am at Regan. I almost gave my first name. Regan.Burns. Regan.Burns on Instagram as well. And please follow us at the PGN Podcast. We are going to be posting all those predictions that we just went over in case you want to fill out your Oscar ballot like your favorite, either mine or my son's, and see if you can win that Oscar pool. We will most likely, once Jackson gets through the shoot this weekend and recuperates, be back maybe later next week. With a couple movies, still a few out in the theaters that we have not seen, and have all our reactions to the Academy Awards. It was a long one today. We appreciate you listening. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Comment below, and Jackson and I will discuss. There will be more games, trivia, and fun stuff coming up in the month as well. All right, Jackson, anything else?
That's it, man. Love you.
Love you too, buddy, and we will see you next time here at PGN Podcast.